had a request from Joshua Afolabi and Steven Steiner to hear the API 525 on vocals, so that's what we're doing today. Thanks for joining me at Smith Music. My name is Paul Smith, and the API 525 is one of my all-time favorite compressors for anything, and on vocals, I think it's amazing. In fairness to what I'm going to show you today, I don't usually use it by itself. I usually use it in parallel with a couple of other compressors and also with no compression at all. So I use it very, very aggressively, and I'm going to show you some samples where it's bypassed, and they're going to be pretty aggressive settings on this, so you can really hear it working. One of the downsides of the API 525 is that I think it's the 2025 op-amp circuit in it. Those I've had several problems with those in several pieces of API gear. Now, the company has been fabulous about sending a new one out whenever there's an issue, and they're all swappable. If you have several pieces of API gear, you can swap these op-amps between any other pieces of gear. And my understanding is this is the pretty integral part to the sound. So I don't know if there's a design flaw that makes these go or what. And they don't really talk about it, but there is kind of some rumors online that I've found to either be superstitious or true, that when you replace an op-amp, you can actually keep the old one, and after a few weeks, whatever is going wrong will fix itself, and then you can replace it back, and you can kind of swap back and forth between the two. It's a bit of a pain, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Basically, you're going to remove the screws off of the chassis, and you just grab onto the op-amp circuit, and you can just pull it right off. It's pinned, and then you can put the new one back in and return it to whatever chassis, if it's a rack mount unit or if it's a 500 series unit or a console. The singer we're listening to today is Elizabeth McInnes. She had come in to do like a call-answer line, so a secondary lead vocal line on Byron Jilk's project, and it's a really dynamic part of the track. I just picked out 2 lines. Now remember, these are pretty extreme examples because I typically will really crush a vocal with the API 525 and then use it in parallel with another track, but I'm going to show you just the 525 track.
Broken hearts are free.
So we have 2-to-1 compressor here, and we're on the fastest release mode, which is 0.1 seconds. We're going to add some more compression.
Broken hearts are faded memories. Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are faded memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
So you can hear lots of compression on there, and if you hear like the F, Broken Hearts and Faded Memories, you can start to get that really aggressive first part of the attack on the vocals. So this is just at a 2-to-1 ratio. I'm going to go through the different release times and give you a sense of those.
Broken hearts are faded memories.
So this is 0.5 seconds.
Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are faded memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
Now here's that 2 seconds.
Broken hearts are faded memories.
You can hear it pushing back and forth, which is not good.
Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are faded memories.
You can hear on Memories in that where it actually is pushing that part of the vocal back. So the timing is obviously not right. It's not the right release time for this. But let's try 2.5 anyways.
Broken hearts are faded memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
That's actually a little bit better. Now I have the DS function on. It's got a nice de-esser, and I pretty well always use it. And you can see this Doctor is actually fired up here too. I have some parallel stuff going on, but you're not actually listening to that, so you can ignore what you see happening here. So I'm going to go, let's see if we can find a more reasonable compression setting, and then I'll show you the de-esser. So we're going to start without the de-esser. We'll go once through the 2 lines, and then I'll put the de-esser back on for the next round of the 2 lines.
Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
All right, so I really like the de-esser, especially when I'm using it in parallel. It really kind of darkens things up nice. Okay, so we're now going to go to the 20-to-1. So this is limiting, and we're going to start on the quickest release time, which is at 0.1 seconds.
Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
So yeah, I really like how that you can just kind of slam it with that. Let's go through some of the different release times. So that was the quickest release time.
Broken hearts are fading memories.
This is 0.5 seconds.
Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories.
This is 2 seconds.
Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories.
And 2.5 seconds.
Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories.
So the other cool thing that you can do with this, which sometimes works, which when I asked API about it, they said it doesn't exist, is to push in the 2-to-1 and 20-to-1. So this is like an all buttons mode on an 1176, but it doesn't act like what that does. It's just kind of, well, you're going to hear it. It's pretty cool sometimes. I don't know what it's going to sound like on this.
Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes. Broken hearts are fading memories. Oh, steady as she goes.
So you can hear that gets some more grit to it, and it gets really, really aggressive. And in parallel, sometimes that can be really cool, especially on a rock vocal. Not so much on a vocal like this, but it is pretty fun to listen to. I hope you had as much fun with that as I did. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.